Welcome to this video. I want to cover making a refill in SolidWorks just like this. I think it's kind of appropriate because the refill is a Dassault plane and SolidWorks is made by Dassault Systems. So why don't we get started? This is going to be on how to make this plane, but even more so an example of making something based on images. So here, after making the plane, I've made a drawing that has a top, rear, side, and front view, which should be all that we need in order to make our refill. And I can start by kind of separating these out, right? So if I grab my snipping tool and I choose my snipping mode as freeform, and then I can simply cut out this one view, and we can save that. And then I can snip out the rear and save that. Here's the side. And let's go to the front. Heading back into SolidWorks, let's make another one of these. First thing to do is import our images of the plane that we can trace around, but I have to get into an active sketch. I'm going to say front plane, and under sketch, we're going to say tools, sketch picture, and on the front plane I've imported the front view of the plane. That can get confusing. Right there. And I'm putting the origin directly on the nose of the plane. On full image, we're going to say 0.7 for transparency. Now I've got a transparent image of our plane. The next thing to do is highlight the right plane, exit the sketch, start sketching on the right plane. We're going to say tools, sketch tools, sketch picture, and we're going to import the side view. As before, I'm putting the nose directly on the origin. And we're going to full image and a transparency of 0.7. And there's the next image that we've made. Notice these images are scaled the same way. If you have images that are not proportional one to another, you're going to have a bad time. Next thing, we'll go on the top plane. Exit our sketch, highlight the top plane, sketch, and tools, sketch picture, top view. We're going to put the nose of the plane right on the origin. And then you can double click on the picture to edit and say full image 0.7. So now we've got 3 views, and we're going to need a rear view sooner or later, so we might as well make a new sketch. We'll highlight the front plane, sketch, tools, sketch picture. There's our rear picture. Notice we can't see the nose of the plane, but we can match up other features that will get it very close, if not dead on. And that seems right. We're going to say full image 0.7. I can rebuild, and now I'm going to rename all of these to front view, side view, top view, and rear view. Okay, I'm going to hide my rear view so it becomes a lot less confusing what I'm looking at, and we can go ahead and get started. The first thing I'll do is create a series of sections that I will loft my main body through. I'll highlight my front plane and sketch, and I'm going to put a point right on the origin because the origin is where the nose is. So that's all done. We're going to rebuild to exit the sketch. Next thing is I'm going to create a plane and create another cross section for the body of my fighter. We'll say features, reference geometry, plane. My first reference will be my front plane because I want it to run parallel to my front plane. I'll flip offset, and a lot of this is the nuance of being visual. And change my view to the side. That seems good. I'm going to go right where the canopy is horizontal. Probably about right there. We're going to create our plane there, and we can create a sketch on it. So now that I'm dealing with a horizontal canopy, that will be a good plane that I can use later. As of right now, I'm going to create a sketch of only my body of the plane. So I'm going to start with a spline, and notice I'm on an actual spline. The body of the plane starts right about there, and I start vertical to my origin. I'll come out to around here. And notice I'm working with a 2-point spline. So I grab my tangent handle and make that horizontal. I can add the hard relation of being vertical to my origin. Next, I'm going to just put a really little 2-point spline in here. Grab my tangent handle. I'm going to add in a tangent relation here. That's going to help get us around the curve. Now, if you're working in surfaces, I'm not doing surfacing in this video, but if you're working in surfaces, you have some options that can help you out, particularly things like curvature control, and you can display minimum radius to make sure that when you go to thicken this, you can use your minimum radius as a reference to what you're able to thicken and how much. Let's go with another spline here. We're going to take that all the way down. Notice we're doing the main body and not concerned with the intakes right now. We're going to make sure that these are tangent. In fact, I'll lift this up a little bit. There we go, tangent. Oh, Control Z is, that's not a really great tangent. So there to there, tangent. That's not bad. We'll just lower that a little bit. And make sure that this tangent line is horizontal. And from here, I'm going to close this up. And we're going to call that good. Now, it may be tempting to just mirror and loft a whole body to start off with. And there's nothing wrong with doing that, but it's a little bit more difficult in getting 3D sketch guide curves to be symmetrical. You usually have to go into surfaces. So you can mirror this if you want to, but I prefer to loft half the body and then mirror that. I find it to be easier. So that's what a cross-section of our body looks like, but we need to double check this from the top and make sure that I've estimated properly, and I'm almost dead on. I'm actually rather proud of myself at, you know, that's really close. But let's see if I can get that to be a little bit better, because that's why we have multiple views here. I'm going to back this off just a little bit. And now let's look from the top. That seems about right. So that will be part of the body of the craft. We're going to exit, and I can hide this plane. Let's go to another section here. I'm with plane 1 highlighted. Let's go Features and make another plane. Flipping Offset. I'm going to look at this from the side. It actually seems like a pretty good spot to offset that. So we'll accept. And let's take a look. We really want to do our largest part of our body, right? We're going to outline the large part of the body. So to do that, sketch, sketch. This will probably be linear and flat. But we can also take a look. If we're confused at our front view, I can hide my front view and show my rear view. And from the back, our body appears to be flat and linear. I'm going to save this feature for another time. In fact, that's one big nuance and trick of SolidWorks. If you're ever confused about getting something done like this, where you've got a big body and you're trying to loft it or whatnot, it will highly likely be a lot easier if you use less features and fill them in later. So we're going to go tangent. For instance, my first time making this, I tried to include the canopy in my initial loft, and I had all sorts of things going wrong. And so I tried a second attempt. We're going to make that vertical. And my second time around, I said I'm going to do only the body, and then I'll do the canopy. And by separating them out, it was way easier. So don't be afraid to be simple. You know, keep it simple, stupid. Great advice hurts my feelings every time, as Dwight says. All right. I'm going to set that tangent handle to be vertical and move that right up. We'll try to fit that curvature as well as we can. I want to end here on horizontal, so make that tangent handle horizontal. And back that up just a little bit. I think we've captured the body's curvature reasonably well here. Oh, Control Z. Yep. Now, I'm going to start a spline there and there. We're going to make this tangent handle horizontal. We're going to make this tangent handle horizontal. And hopefully I can arrange these in a way that's going to be meaningful. I guess I'll move this over here and rearrange again. Control Z again. I guess I'll move this inward and extend this guy. It's kind of a balancing act of spline work here. Not bad. Now, finish this off with a complete line. And we have a closed profile. Notice I'm not fully constraining my sketch, and I should have said this a little bit sooner, but with all the spline work, really, unless you're actually making a plane, doing it in this way should suffice. I'm going to hide this plane, but with plane 2 highlighted, we'll go Features, Reference Geometry, Plane, and we'll take a look from the side. There we go. Flip offset. I'll take the body right back before this nozzle, right there. So we'll select that, and we'll sketch. So I want to take this end profile of my body, and I've already got my rear view selected. So I'll grab a spline, and I can make it coincident because this references the center. We're going to go from here to here. I'm going to say horizontal, horizontal. That probably matches the curvature pretty well. We'll go from here, maybe to here, which could be the vertical point. Horizontal, vertical. Alright, there we go. Couldn't select that one very well. We'll go from here to about there, depending on, maybe there, depending on how you interpret the picture. And make horizontal and vertical. And that already seems to capture the curvature reasonably well. Another spline. Take this handle, horizontal, and horizontal. We'll say that that's the rear of the plane. And we've closed that profile. Next thing I want to do is make a little reference sketch. And I also, yep, so they are tangent because we're vertical. So just making sure that didn't look vertical because I've got a really tight curve right there. So that, for example, could be an issue when you go to thicken it if you were to do this in surfaces. So the next thing, I'm going to edit this sketch, Control 8. This is one of the sketches where I don't have a point on the outermost part. So I'm going to draw a center line, make sure that we're coincident, make sure that the center line is vertical, and we're going to choose tangency. And that marks the outermost point of that entire sketch, actually. Rebuild that. You know, I really want to make another sketch. So let's do that. I want to show that this nose is a nice circle cross-section. So highlighting the front plane, features, reference geometry, plane. We're going to flip offset. And viewing from the side, if I can find the right hotkey. We're going to go down to about there. There we go, Control 1. And what I want to do is show the front view and hide the rear view. And hide plane 3. Selecting plane 4, we're going to create a sketch. And you can see the circle of the nose right here. So I'm going to outline that. Center of my circle is vertical to my origin. And I'm going to keep on sizing this until I get to a size that I feel right about. And looking in from the side, I can see I'm a little bit large. There I'm a little bit small. So it's kind of a fine art. There we go. So we're going to save that. Now, next thing, I'm going to want to make a loft. And actually, while I'm on this circle, I'm going to edit this circle and create on the very side an extra point. And that marks the outside. So the next thing I want to do is create a 3D sketch. 3D sketch. I'm going to create some 2-point splines. So I'm going to start a 2-point spline on the origin and go here. Escape. another 2-point spline from here to here. Another 2-point spline from here to here. Right? We're just outlining exactly where we want our body to go. So viewing from the top, if I can find the right hotkey, I'm going to take my tangent handle and match the curvature of the top view here. And I can lock this spline down. So fix. Right, so now this spline isn't going anywhere. I can't adjust the tangent handle. The spline is locked in place. Now I'm going to add a tangent relation to make sure that these are tangent. And I will most likely get a rebuild error. Oh, but I haven't, so that's good. May on the next one. I'm going to take this spline that is tangent to the previous and adjust my tangent handles to try to match the curvature as best as I can. That appears to be right. So I'm going to lock this down, and there's our rebuild error. So I'm going to delete my tangent relation because it's no longer needed to define the geometry of the sketch. And I can make this tangent. Of course, a big driving factor as to why I'm actually using the fixed relations is because I want to make sure that when I set one spline tangent to another, it doesn't throw off the spline that I just made tangent. So that looks like a pretty good fit to that body. We're going to fix that and delete the previous tangent as it's no longer needed. This being fixed, I can add a tangent relation here. And there's our plane's body. So I have the luxury of taking this handle, making it along Z. We'll lengthen that out just a bit. And that will, I don't like support assist, it always gives me a SolidWorks driver that's too new for SolidWorks. That's our 3D sketch. I'm going to rebuild that, hide this plane. And the next thing to do, I'm going to look down the side view. There we go. And I'm going to sketch on the right plane. Okay, so what I'll do, 2-point spline, and to prevent errors, of course, I need to make sure that my guide curves pierce every point of my aircraft's sections. Actually, linear looks good. So I'm going to go to the next one and actually fix this. We're going to choose this profile and pierce. Tangent. There we go. Now I'm going to edit this sketch and raise it up just a little bit so that it matches our side view better. I'm going to rebuild that. Go back to editing this sketch. There we go. So we're tangent here. That's looking pretty good. From here to here. And make sure that this guy is fixed and delete the tangent that we no longer need after fixing it. And make sure that these guys are tangent. There we go. Finally, go down to here. Make sure that this guy is fixed. Delete the tangent that we don't need anymore. Tangent here. That looks like it about covers everything. Next, I want to make a guide curve that runs underneath the plane. So, sketching on the right plane again, we're going to create a spline. And I'm going to manually just pierce it. Now I can choose a curvature that looks about right. And same process. Fix this so that the tangency, the curvature of the spline isn't affected. There. We're going to choose tangent. The profile of our sketch goes a little bit lower, but since it's from an image, we can afford to take some liberties. Adjust that tangency about there. Next, oh, and I got out of my sketch. I meant to just get a new spline, and also we're going to make this fixed and delete the tangent we don't need anymore. Tangent from here to the next profile. There. Of course, her body goes a little bit lower. Which is to be expected. Finally, from here to here, we'll make this fixed and delete our tangency. And then between these two, we'll make a tangent. There we go. So that looks like a reasonable approximation of the bottom surface of the plane. Let's get ready to do a boundary. I do need to fix one thing on this, and that is I have a complete circle, whereas everything else is a half profile. So, making a line from the top point there to the bottom point there. Simply trim to get rid of that circle surface there, and we're good. Features, let's go with the boundary. From this point to there, to there, to there, and there. And I'll grab our guide curves here, here, and our last guide, and our side guide curve rather, there. So that's going to be the body of our plane. Because we are using these guide curves, if I were to, it doesn't give me the option to say normal to profile because of the guide curves. Oh, I guess this one does. But that's what I was trying to say. The curves tangent are constrained because of the curves. So we might as well say none for all. Boom. There's our body. And now all I have to do is mirror. We're going to choose the right plane because it runs through the middle of the plane. And it already sees the features to mirror is the boundary. Let's give that a try. And there it is. So there's our main body of the plane, and we're going to add some other details in the future to work this plane out. I'm going to go ahead and save this part now. I'll impress on you that it is very typical to do something like this in surfaces. I'm doing it in solids because this is more about sketching from an image rather than surface work. That's the scope of this video. So, hope this video was helpful. If it was, please subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video where we will add maybe a wing or a canopy. See you then.